Warning. The following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
And welcome back to Hazardous Materials. I'm Gideon Gonzalez, and joining me always,
Casey Johnson.
And this week we're going to be doing a in memorial special for George Perez, one of our all-time favorite artists. We wanted to kind of commemorate his life's work with going over our favorite stories that he has worked on and just reminiscing.
Back in, I think it was December or January, George announced that he had a type of terminal cancer, and that he wasn't seeking any kind of treatment for. I was basically just going to try to live out the rest of his life as comfortably as he possibly could. And I think he did pretty well, considering the time of frame that he's had. And I think we're just going to dive into all the good stuff that we enjoyed. For me, a lot of the comics that I grew up on were things that he created. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to focus on. And you obviously have some favorites of your own.
Yeah, he led a hell of a life and left behind a hell of a body of work. So, Casey, we're each going to be doing a top 3 of our favorite George Perez series. And Casey, what's your number 3?
Number 3 for me is all new Teen Titans, starting pretty much right out the gate with the first issue.
Yeah.
I saw this issue back when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and it was one of the books that actually really got me into comics. I mean, just to a degree where I was going to read it on a monthly basis, and it had this great, awesome cover. George, keen on being able to draw groups very well, obviously knocked it out of the park with this cover, and it's been used in Teen Titans media pretty much all these decades. This one was super awesome. This is basically the one they evolved Robin into Nightwing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Judas Contract, about 50 issues into the run.
Oh yeah. That I was actually reading comics when that happened, and that kind of freaked me out because the concept of a good guy turning bad never entered into my strata. I just what?
Yeah. So not only did he design Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, did the design for Nightwing, the Disco Dick costume, which I love.
Deathstroke,
the Terminator, which fully showing off his love of hyper detailed chainmail.
Yeah, the man really likes his scale mail. Yeah, he designed Terra, obviously.
Yeah, Terra, another one.
Yeah,
Trigon.
Okay, so I've got something I want to talk about there, and we're gonna put it up on this one. Trigon traumatized me as a child because, like I said, I've never seen a good guy go bad with the Judas Contract, but I also never seen a child get just flat out murked in a comic book before Trigon showed up. And so Trigon's got this world where he basically is God, and all these people worship him, and this child, unfortunately, says monster. And of course, Trigon, in his severe fragility, isn't going to stand for that crap. So he ages her, he almost mummifies her. But then Raven brings her back to life, and everything is happy, and you think everything's going to be great. And then Trigon goes, I appreciate your empathy, but my work can never be undone, and just atomizes the child to ash, right there. And I'm like, I remember because this issue not only stuck with me because of this horrible image, but also because this is the issue where my parents actually acknowledged the fact that comics were a good thing because they taught me how to read faster than most children.
Aw.
Because my dad read that page to me.
He's like, damn.
So Teen Titans was a really big deal for me. It was my first exposure to Perez's work. It stuck with me enough that I actually knew his name even back then. And yeah, easily number 3 on my list.
I think it's an interesting point that so often comic runs get referred to as just the writers, like say Grant Morrison's Batman or Chris Claremont's X-Men. But really, you can't talk about Teen Titans without calling it Wolfman and Perez's Teen Titans.
Yeah, true.
Wolfman sticks around in that book for quite a while after George leaves it, but the quality is just not nearly the same.
No, not at all. Big ups to Wolfman because he did do my first few Spider-Woman issues. I'm a fan of him too. Um, but we'll
But it
talk about
really,
him.
but
in a- yeah.
it's the George Perez show.
Yeah, it's a George Perez show. Yeah. But let's talk about your number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 is the post-crisis Wonder Woman series that he did initially with Len Wein, a legend in his own right, scripting. So after Crisis, all of DC's major heroes got new, streamlined origins to bring them into the modern day. So over in Batman, you had Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli on Batman Year One. On the Superman titles, you had John Byrne's Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And for Wonder Woman, they just did a big relaunch with big number 1, where Perez is able to refine Wonder Woman's very, very convoluted mythology into a much simpler, streamlined, accessible title. Because pre-Crisis Wonder Woman isn't very good. And I say that as a huge Wonder Woman fan. The Golden Age Wonder Woman is awesome, probably the best Golden Age book there is, but she really languished throughout the Silver and Bronze Ages, just from a lack of creators being particularly interested in her world, or just tacking on more and more stuff, trying to see what sticks. But Perez really boiled it down to Diana is a mythical figure. He leans into Greek mythology and really ties that in. He re-emphasizes the importance of the Amazons. He makes a focus on their culture instead of just kind of being a mishmash of background stuff. He makes Cheetah awesome. He introduces the modern version of Cheetah, Barbara Minerva.
Right.
Because before that, Cheetah was just like a rich socialite who like
wore a
dressed up
cheetah
like a cheetah.
outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barbara Minerva is like actually a magical based character and a like equal badass to Wonder Woman.
And then the cover he's got is that iconography of the bracelets over the head.
It stuck around for years and years. And I think most importantly, and this is what a lot of those relaunch books were intended to do, and they, for the most part, succeeded, is he builds a base for people to continue off of. Because he's on the book for about, I think, 50 issues. But the entirety of Wonder Woman Volume 2 is pretty solid. Like, it dips a little bit in the immediate aftermath of his departure. Like, when you get to stuff like the biker shorts outfit where Artemis is Wonder Woman for a hot minute. But you've got like the Phil Jimenez run on Wonder Woman. You've got the Greg Rucka Drew Johnson run. You've got oh my god, it was Gail Simone and Aaron Lopresti. That's on Volume 3, but like that's still, it's very much a sequel to the stuff that was going on in Wonder Woman Volume 2.
And you know that speaks on how I view him, which is when he gets onto a project, he stays on it for an exceptionally long time.
He stays on it for a really long time and always manages to leave the book in a better place than where he found it and be an excellent baton passer.
He's got artistic stamina. I mean, we'll get into obviously a lot more detail what exactly that means, but when it comes to like drawing stuff, it gets super complicated. But he's not afraid to do it on a consistent basis, even for small books.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a personal fan of Marvel Premiere number 45 and 46, which didn't make it into this list because the story's kind of basic. But I think it's super awesome as far as the art. And it's just like, it's a mid-70s book. So, like, next to no one read it. But it's still got these massive 2-page spreads of all these massive battles going on. I'm like, he was not afraid to just throw it all in onto a small project.
Yeah. And in Wonder Woman, he constantly has hordes of Amazons or like legions of monsters for Diana to fight. And it's so good. And it's the treatment that the character deserves.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move into my number 2 at this point. My number 2 is the easy one. I think it's something that you and I really connected on, and that was the late 90s Avengers run.
Yes. Oh, Kurt Busiek.
Yes, that's when Avengers basically washed itself of the 90s, so to speak.
No more leather jacket and shaved Hercules Avengers.
Oh my god, or super long-haired Thor carrying a weird hammer that's clearly not
the chain
thing, because that was in style.
He had to make sure no one took his wallet.
Yeah. Well, this is about the time that Iron Man actually started changing up his armor on a regular basis. And this Iron Man has what I like to call Tron lines all over him. Light lines.
It's very glowy.
It's very cool. And I don't know who to attribute to that, but that's the first time I've seen it. And this is the Avengers that had like the new Warriors kids in it, Marvel
Justice,
Boy,
yeah.
Justice at that time, and Firestar still wearing a jacket, but this is the 90s.
Yeah.
This is forgivable.
She's a kid.
This also had like Cersei and Scarlet Witch, and Scarlet Witch are more, I guess, they were trying to make craft something that was more akin to her or the land that she was coming from. So they
And
got
also
rid of the-
because George Perez, no stranger to a horny costume.
yeah, there is some super horniness to that. There's no doubt about it.
That first arc, they fight Morgan Le Fay in medieval times, and so he gets to redesign all of the Avengers in medieval outfits, and that's Scarlet Witch's medieval outfit, and she comes back to the present and is like, I think I like that look.
That's exactly it.
So you get a belly dancer Scarlet Witch for a good while.
Yeah, I mean the outfit is obviously a bit more revealing. It's got a lot more jewelry on it, a lot metal medallions and stuff
And
like
in
that.
Perez fashion, very, very detailed.
Very detailed, yeah.
Very much a
because-
pain in the butt for anyone else to draw.
Well, the neck pieces and everything like that had a lot of metal pieces to them. It's almost like the stuff is effortless because he does it to himself. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna draw this, but I'm gonna draw a 2-page spread, and everybody's gonna have armor on it, and I'm gonna have some explosions, and I'm gonna have some really articulated rubble going on.
Oh, the George Perez rubble is
Yes.
what a great trademark to have. It's like I can draw destroyed things really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, if you need an armored dude in a 20-person team where everybody looks different on a plant that's falling apart, I'm your man.
And I gotta say, this run has specifically my all-time favorite Avengers story,
Mm-hmm.
Ultron Unlimited,
That's right.
in which Ultron kills France. Like
I remember
he just obliterates it. Like just has a horde of his drones just surround the borders of the country and like close in. It's just horrifying.
I thought he just nuked Paris or something like that.
No, they just has them all slowly move in.
All I remember
Way
is like
creepy.
after that was done, I felt a sense of dread about Ultron because I was now cognitive of the fact that you will never kill Ultron. And every time Ultron comes back, he's got to up his game.
Yeah, I read that story as a kid, and it really solidified him as my favorite Avengers villain.
Yeah.
And, like you got that amazing coverage. I think it's number 19, where it's just all black except for the glow of Ultron's face.
And Perez did love the Kirby crackle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
There's some good crackle in
There
there.
was some good crackle.
And again, this really lends to his strength as a group drawer because he got to just draw hordes and legions of Ultron drones getting obliterated.
Oh yeah, while we're talking about Avengers and George Perez, I want to talk a little bit about this poster that came out right about that time. And as you can see in this poster, every single Avenger ever done is in this shot.
And every single one of Jan's costumes is the border.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this even more detailed. Let's go after Clothes whore Janet Van Dyne.
And most of those costumes he designed. I think when he on his Avengers run, he specifically would give her a different costume every issue.
I think one of his favorites one was the blue and white one that had a leg missing on it.
Mhm.
Remember that
It's a
one?
fun costume.
Yeah, this is the one that she had right around the 190s. I think
Yeah.
it was
Around when Taskmaster showed up.
exactly when Taskmaster showed up. I remember
Another
that.
blue and orange chainmail wearing bad guy with a sword.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now Avengers 195 when Taskmaster does his full appearance. That's right in my top 5 favorite comics of all time. Taskmaster is like up there with Sabretooth as far as my
Mhm.
favorite characters. So I've got a copy of that I was gonna get George to sign, but unfortunately his health kind of faltered like just before the signing was about to start. So now I've got the book, and it's got this like marquee that CGC did over, but there's no signature over it. But
Yeah.
it's still something I'm gonna cherish. I mean, it's never gonna go anywhere. I love that book so much. You've got a copy of it too, as if I
do.
spend. And I bet you yours is prettier than mine.
Mine's not in the best shape. So my number 2 was originally going to be Avengers.
And I stole it from you.
So I had to think of another, and there's so many to pick from, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a super hard choice. But I was thinking Infinity Gauntlet at first, but it's like, you know what? Infinity Gauntlet's got a lot of eyes on it, and Ron Lim did the last issue or 2 of that one, so
Yeah.
I selected his collaboration with Peter David for his lengthy Hulk run, the 2-part story Future Imperfect, which sees the intelligent Professor Hulk, my favorite iteration of the Hulk, well, second favorite after Joe Fixit,
This is the Pantheon Hulk.
Yes, where he's wearing the brown jumpsuit,
Yeah.
where he's transported to the way the hell future,
Mhm.
where he has at some point in history gone mad, killed all the other heroes, and taken over the planet, and rules over with an iron fist as the Maestro.
And this Maestro character stuck around in Marvel lore for quite a bit.
Oh,
Even past
wildly
this.
popular.
People really like Maestro because you ain't gonna kill him. This is like, I guess, when just how potent the Hulk's potential was truly showcased. I think probably for the first time.
Oh yeah, and the shadow of the Maestro hangs over the rest of David's run on Hulk, and there was still like probably another 50, 60 issues left in that. Well, probably more than that, probably close to 100.
Yeah.
Because he was on that book for a long time. But Perez obviously brings his A game to this project. It's a 2-issue prestige miniseries, so it's all nice, big, square bound, like 60 pages an issue.
If I remember, that's the one that has that Maestro practically in the air doing this bit across
The first
page?
cover, it's
Yeah.
Hulk flying towards the reader. The second cover is Maestro.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Okay.
But it's Hulk with the intelligence of Banner and future Hulk with the malicious intelligence of Banner
Mm-hmm.
coming to blows in a almost Mad Max style future. Like rereading it recently, I got major Immortan Joe vibes off of the Maestro.
Oh yeah, easily.
But I think probably the most iconic and memorable scene is when Rick Jones brings the Hulk to his secret lair, which is a trophy room of all of the fallen heroes that Maestro has defeated, built around Mjolnir, since obviously he couldn't move that.
Yeah, and if this is the first time you've seen this image, please, by God, Google it, open it, expand it, and just spend at least good 15 minutes checking out all of the Easter eggs that are in this.
Yeah, it just really exemplifies his ability to cram a scene with so much detail. Like between all of the helmets on the ceiling, there's one of my favorite details is the shattered remains of the Thing inside a hollowed out Sentinel head. There's the broken surfer board. There's
I'm a big fan of the Beast
hide.
carpet.
Doctor Strange's cape hanging on itself.
Yeah.
And my favorite detail, the bottled city of Kandor nestled in the back.
And that caught my attention too, because I was reading Hulk just kind of off and on because it's George Perez, kind of catches the eye. And I saw that page spread when it first came out. I was like, that's a freaking Kandor in the background? That's awesome.
But yeah, and it is intended to be read as a chapter in David's ongoing Hulk series, but it absolutely reads perfectly fine as a standalone. And there's actually a really good trade that pairs it with my all-time favorite Hulk story, Hulk the End, which is a much grimmer story of Hulk at the end of time.
Oh yeah, that's like set millions of years in the future where he's like the only sentient being.
Yeah, with Dale Keown on art on that one.
Yeah.
So 2 of the all-time great Hulk artists in one trade. Can't go wrong.
I'm also a big fan of Gary Frank's take on Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David
really
got
good.
to work with a lot of amazing artists across his run.
Yeah. Dale Keown and Gary Frank were my favorite Hulk artists at the time because I think the only Hulk I ever got wrapped up into, not tried to side rail us too much, is the Pantheon Hulk. Mm-hmm. And that was that big neon cover of Hulk doing this. Yeah. That was a great story. So yeah, when George Perez started doing it, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll check that out. Okay, and that I think brings us to our number one because we are of the single mind on this.
Yes, because there was just simply no other choice for number one.
And it's the Avengers JLA, or is it JLA Avengers?
It is JLA Avengers, recently reprinted, but this is my very well-loved original trade from 2005.
I picked up a reprint myself. Gideon helped me acquire that as one of my prized possessions, and I left it at home because safety first.
So I'm glad I brought mine. This is a book that, God, it's such an incredible undertaking. It's easily the single greatest intercompany crossover.
And George Perez's magnum opus.
Yes, in which he gets to draw everyone who is ever in the JLA or the Avengers for the incredible final battle, which also features just about every foe they ever fought.
And this almost feels like the proper apology for the failed 1983 crossover. That never happened, that he drew almost 3 issues of before they canned it.
Yeah.
And this, thankfully, is clearly a better product than the 83 crossover.
Yes. It's him working with Kurt Busiek, one of his greatest collaborators. It's so crowd pleasing. It's got everything you could possibly want. It's got so many. You got Batman, the Batman Captain America standoff. You got
Yep.
Superman fighting Thor. You got Superman in my favorite of the 4 covers. And it's a competitive field because they're all amazing. But the
Right.
cover number 4 was Superman holding Mjolnir and Cap shield.
And while that I've always known that number 4 for me, it's the wraparound number 3, which I wish I could have on my living room wall for everybody to
God,
see.
me too. It's the one thing that surpasses his Avengers poster.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Every JLAer, every Avenger in one image.
Yeah, this is if people could go on, okay, well, this is my career, but this is my singular piece, and it's the cover for 3.
Yeah, I would absolutely love if they could do a limited poster run of this thing, because I would have that on my wall for all eternity.
I guess when it comes down to rights, it's just hairy enough that they can't exactly make posters.
It's a bummer.
It really is, because that's some frame stuff right there.
I know it's going to be a tough one to find, especially right now, but really do yourself a favor and by any means possible read JLA Avengers. Like, if you are an Avengers fan, you'll love it. If you're a Justice League fan, you'll love it. And if you just love great comics, you will adore it.
Now, did this finally pop up on Comixology since the reprint happened?
No.
Because I was really hoping that was going to be the case.
No.
Okay, yeah, for a while this has been exceptionally hard to find unless you went out and actually got the singular issues or the big
There's the
absolute version.
There's the original trade. There
Mhm.
was and the absolute, and that was the 2 they did, which I believe each had a print run of about 3,000, which I think is what the
And
legal agreement
the recent
was.
reprint had a 7,000 run. I'm
Was it
hearing word
7,000?
around the campfires they're going to reprint that big collection.
The absolute. I mean, I'd buy it if they did it, but
I would too.
I'm not holding my breath. I think what we got is what we're gonna get.
I heard it from only one source, and that means basically if you're in comics and you like comics like we do, and you hear news and you get excited, but then you realize you're only hearing it from one place, odds are it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's too bad. 'Cause this is a book that I wish was perpetually in print. Like, I think
do
it's
too.
something that every comics fan needs to and deserves to read.
Well, I mean, when things were kind of going south for George, people have been screaming for this reprint, and it's like, this is only right, especially since George is the head of that foundation that book
Mm-hmm.
and its
The
proceeds
Heroes
are going to.
Initiative.
Thank you. I totally forgot what it was. It sounded like this needs to happen, and thankfully Marvel and DC jumped on it faster than usual. Within 30 days of the Rumble happening, we got the reprint out and got out
Yeah.
where it needs to be.
If only hopefully they'll print more, but yeah, it's such a legal quagmire.
It is, but I'm glad that cooler heads prevailed in a quick
And at least we got something.
Yeah,
'cause,
exactly.
Yeah, aftermarket prices of the trade is not fun to look at.
No, I actually looked those up because when people were really starting to talk about it, and I figured, well, that reprint's not happening. I clearly need to get me a
Mhm.
proper print, and I started shopping around. It's like $300-400. That's a little too rich for my blood.
Yeah, just insane.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, when you hook me up with that trade, like a real hero, yeah.
so that is our retrospective on the career of George Perez. What are some of your favorite titles he worked on? Because we know you've got them.
Absolutely list those things.
Leave them in a comment below. Follow us on our socials. And yeah, rest in peace, George.